Hey everybody, today is October 3rd. Hope you're all doing well, and tonight we are discussing kind of an interesting topic that people ask me about. But before we get into that, let me just cover a couple of things. As far as my Friday nights, I believe they're all filled up. Or maybe a couple of spots open. And for people who are asking me about the Friday nights with Phil, am I going to have it coming into 2020? The answer to that question is absolutely. Hi everybody that's logging in. So I just want to get these things out of the way. For Friday nights, we're Phil. I'm here at 6:30. So you're all whoever signs up, come on in. And if you're looking to, here's the last thing I wanted to say. Everyone is people are asking about why you can't book an hour reading with me and why I'm only doing half hours. And the primary reason for that is to get more people in because my schedule is so booked up. If you really believe you need an hour, just book 2 half hours back to back, and that's the easiest way I can do that. I'm here, and this is East Coast, right, Jasper?
Yes.
So Eastern time. So that's important. Everybody knows that there, and I want to get that out. Jasper's here with me tonight, thank God. So we're talking about a fun topic tonight. And it's kind of fun, but also it's kind of in depth. So let's just get this out of the way. I wanted to discuss this. Well, actually, I didn't want to discuss this topic. Isaac wanted to discuss this topic, so I decided that I would go along with it. And a lot of people ask me, Phil, what goes on the other side when souls are not looking after us? Meaning that when a soul is not watching over you through the moments of grief or whatever else is happening, what's really going on the other side? Now, before I really had a sense of what was going on the other side, I really believed it was kind of like a big cloud. So I'm not going to lie. I had this completely Catholic vision of crossing over pearly gates, blah, 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 waiting in line. And as I got older and I started to see the terra nivelle, which we've spoken about before, and the terra nivelle is when you hear that high-pitched buzz in your ear, it's the other side coming through. What you're hearing is the other side coming through. For me, I'm seeing what's going on the other side. So as this happens each time for me, and this happens every day for me, and this has happened throughout my entire life for me, remember, I'm seeing this from all different angles, all different timelines, and most importantly, all different aspects of the souls that are taking place. So what I mean by that is I'm not always looking into the other side on one angle. So I'm able to see a lot of stuff, what's going on. And I never really paid attention to it until Isaac really brought my attention to it. So meaning that he said, Phil, try to pay attention more to where the soul is coming from, not just that they're coming through. Because as a medium, your primary focus is bring the soul through, get the information that they have to deliver, and deliver the information. That's my primary job. But as beyond that, as I start to become a student also with Isaac, I started to be curious. I'm like, what's really going on behind there? And what's going on back there is an entire civilization. And I know that's kind of hard to understand. Is like, what do you mean a civilization? There's complete life. And life in the sense of where the soul goes on living. There's homes and there's cities and there's colors and there's events taking place. So it's quite extraordinary what's happening here. And so why is that happening? That's going to be one of the questions that I want to bring up. So one of the things that people ask me is, Phil, do they watch us in the shower? No, they've no reason to, okay? So unless you're having an event, meaning like you're having an accident or something like that there. But the other side doesn't encroach on your privacy. Their primary purpose is to help you through grief. But when they're not in that point, meaning that when you're resting, when you're sleeping, or if you're in a good place, they're evolving. So, and the soul is evolving on the other side in a way where they read quite a bit. There's quite a bit of studying that goes on. And part of that studying is the soul review that we discussed about. So, and as Isaac says, is when you pass over, you immediately are drawn to that warm light. Now, anybody that's had an out-of-body experience, anybody that's had a near-death experience, or anybody that's even transitioned to that light will tell you it's extremely magnetic. You do not want to pull away from it. You want to get sucked into it, and it's extraordinarily peaceful. Most importantly, through that light, you often see a soul that's already passed over. And it's a soul that you recognize, Isaac says. Now, I'm saying that to you because I got to let you know how you're getting into the Emerald City. So we're just using this as an example. So you'll see a soul, so mother, father, sibling, grandparent, whoever it may be, young souls that pass over, they may see friends or whoever it is. But they're drawn into this wonderful white light. This white light now brings them into the other side. Once they're on the other side, there's explanation. So the explanation of how they pass, what's going on, and then they're dealing with staying around. So if somebody has lost their child, if somebody's losing their child or their husband or their wife or whoever it is, the soul initially stays around for the first year. After the first year, we now go into the soul review. Now, the soul review is the transcending of the soul. It means that they are getting to look back on what's really happened here on earth and what really took place through their lifetime. So there is an assessment. Now, people call that purgatory. It's not purgatory. So you cross over to the other side, you look at your soul review, and as your soul review, you break down block by block how you live your life, what you went through, what you feel was shameful, what you feel was not. But here's the whole beauty of it. There's no ego. There's no pride. There's no fear. All of those things are removed. So you're able to look at your life without self-judgment. And this self-judgment is the very thing that we've talked about on many of our Facebook Lives about letting go. Because when you let go of that, that's what happens. Now, going back, Isaac says, he does this to me. He says, hey, let's go back to what's happening on the other side. So now you're on the other side, and I'll give you an example. I remember once seeing a rose, and I knew it was a rose, but it's unlike any rose I've ever seen. Meaning that the color and how vibrant and how spectacular and how it was designed. And I knew it was a rose. I've seen a million roses, but this was flawless. It was the most spectacular rose I've ever seen. I've smelt bread, but it's unlike any bread I've ever smelt. I've seen people still continuing to cook because they love to cook here on earth, where they're continuing their cooking. I've seen people study and continuing with their studies, and people say, well, why do that? And Isaac says, so let's explain how this works. The studying part is, let's just say you decide you're coming back here to be a scientist, a doctor, a teacher, a therapist, or whatever the situation may be. You're going to spend quite a bit of time in your Akashic records. So, and that's the soul review. There's an entire hall. There's an entire hall of information of all of your previous lives stored on the other side. How do you like that? So everything that you've ever done, there is a hall stored with all of that information. I know, and this is why I didn't want to really talk about this topic, because it's kind of hard to take in. And this information is all of your previous lives, all the things that you've tried to overcome. So people will witness, or I've witnessed people studying, and what they're trying to do is get as much information and knowledge as about whatever they're trying to bring to Earth, because they know that when they come to Earth, that memory is wiped clean. And when that memory is wiped clean, what happens is you now have to go through your path, and as you're going through your path, you're going to start re-accessing those memories that you've learned, and hopefully this will make you a better doctor, scientist, medium, whatever it is that you come here, parent. So all of these situations that you come here, but all of it is because you're studying on the other side. Jasper has a question. Go ahead, honey.
Someone is asking if on the other side the pets are with you too.
So are our pets with you in your other side? Here's the other great thing. I started to see housing. Like I started to see houses, but different style of houses. I started to see pets. I started to see farms. I started to see life. I started to see souls, with the exception of one thing. they're all roughly the same age. So everyone's in their 30s on the other side. I'm not exactly sure why. So, but everybody's in their 30s. And I started to see different style of houses. I started to see families live together. I started to see families, when they pass over, started to come together and work out their differences. And most importantly, continue to go on with their lives together. So what also happens is the animals that we lose go to those people who have passed before us, and they live with them. So it's almost an extension of ourselves, that when we leave this planet, we're crossing over into the other side, into our families, and they're there waiting for us with tremendous joy. I mean, it's just mind-boggling what happens here. So, but heaven is a design of self. So if that makes any sense, meaning that you have the ability to design whatever type of heaven you want to design. It's not like there's a straight across board, this is what you get. No other options here. You get to design your heaven, because remember, we're energy. The soul is energy, and therefore there's no time. There's no morning, there's no night. That's another thing that really complicates things for people. So there's no time on the other side. So an hour here means nothing to them. So, and that's what people have trouble understanding is, well, why is that? There is zero time on the other side, which there's no morning, there's no night. I've never seen night on the other side. I've only seen light. Go ahead, babe.
Sharon wants to know, what do people literally do when they pass over on a daily basis?
So what do people do when they pass over on a daily basis?
Yeah, what are they doing day to day?
So on a day-to-day basis, the soul is normally evolving. And I was going to answer that two ways, but what the soul is normally doing is evolving. It's doing two things. It splits its time. One is trying to help the family get through whatever the grief is going on. And then two, it's trying to get through whatever contract that didn't go on here. But you have to understand, everyone, I couldn't figure out, there's souls coming in and out of Earth by the millions on a daily basis, but life and death. And the best way I can describe this to you is, if you're ever out in the woods and all of a sudden you see a little flicker, and then you see dull, and then you see flicker, and you see these little fireflies. And Isaac once said to me, that's just like how souls enter and exit from the other side. And it kind of blew my mind, because I said, now I get it. They're coming in, they're going out. It's not like they're over there, because there's no time. So we recycle, and we come back to Earth, and we try to live these lifetimes. So in order to constantly evolve and make ourselves better. And that's the whole journey. Go ahead, babe.
So Annalise says, wait, I'm confused. How are they cooking or having activities or events if they have no body?
Here's the great question. So you've no body. You don't have anything to sustain. Why would you cook? Because simply you love to. You can eat if you want to. You do not have to. So you can play sports if you choose to play sports, but you don't have to. People read. People do all of this. You don't need a physical body. So if you can think of this the exterior shell that we have, and understand there's an interior energy, and that energy still can interact with other energies. So just like they can talk with one another, they can still create this, but they can still look physical, if that makes any sense. But it's just in an energetic form. It's not a physical form. Isaac says we can hold a flame to our hand but not be burned, if that gives you a better understanding. Go ahead, sweetheart.
So Melinda, Marie, and Maxine have general questions. If you pass on to the other side, you bring your earthly ailments, such as obesity, personality disorders, things like that?
So once you cross over to the other side, do you still bring all your personal ailments? Oh my God, I hope not. And Isaac says you absolutely do not. So, and that's one of the beautiful things about leaving. That's why people don't want to leave the light, because it's so soothing. It's so freeing. So you do not bring a weight issue, you do not bring a depression issue, you do not bring a fear issue. All of those things are wiped away. But you do remember them. When you get over there, you do remember that they're part of the things that you had to face and fear. I'm sorry, not fear, but address when you were to overcome here on Earth. So that's all it comes down to. Go ahead, honey.
Martina.
Imagine being able to eat without gaining weight. Like straight candy on the other side without gaining weight. Like, it's amazing.
That
Yeah, it's heaven. There you go.
Exactly. Hold on for me 1 second. So Wayne wants to know, are souls always happy on the other side?
Are souls always happy on the other side? That's a great question. Our souls are souls majority always feel happiness, but they're aware of our unhappiness. They're aware of our sadness. They're aware of our pain and grief, and therefore they come to try and help us. That's why they give us signs and communication. That's why they come through in your readings. So it's to try and get you through. See, the other side doesn't come through to entertain you. It has no interest in entertaining you. It has the only purpose of it coming through is to evolve you and to help you overcome whatever's holding you back. So that's the beauty of the other side. That's what there is. So there's no diabetes for anybody. There's no illness for anybody. There's nothing for anybody. But for the most part, everyone is experiencing joy. In the first year when you pass over, because you don't fully pass over, you still experience the grief what you experience, that your family's experiencing at that moment. That's because you're helping them through the process. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Kathleen wants to know, are there jobs on the other side?
Are there jobs on the other side? Nope. But however, you're able to do things that you want to do. So it's not so much there's jobs where there's hobbies on the other side. I've witnessed people painting. That blew my mind. I've witnessed artists, absolutely blowing my mind. I've seen people teach music, and I've heard sounds that I've never heard here on Earth. I really mean this. So I've seen fruit that I want to eat, and it's just simply a pear. But I've had a pear, but I've seen it sitting on a table, and I'm like, that looks incredible. And it's mind-blowing because nothing here on Earth compares to what you see on the other side. So the best way, Isaac says, that he says, and you can't truly conceptualize what the other side is because you're not meant to. You're meant to understand how Earth works. You're not meant to understand how the universe works fully. But if you take the contrast on your phone or your pictures or whatever, and you dial it all the way up to make it very, very crisp, that's what the other side looks like, only magnified times 1,000. So it's in its truest, perfect form, every life. Here's one of the things that I saw. I'm not going to go on a tear about this here, but it was so basic that I've never ever forgotten it because I was a kid when I saw it. I saw a ladybug. And the color of the red and the black dots has to this day stood out in my mind. I've never ever forgotten it. And I just saw it crawling around when I saw Terra Neville back in the day when my gift was first starting. And that's when I knew that anything that was here on Earth also goes to the other side. Go ahead, babe.
Is heaven high above us, way beyond the universe?
So is heaven high above us, way beyond the universe? It's linear right next to us. So, and it's slightly above us. So, and here's why that has relevance, Isaac says. When you see a soul, they're often taller than what you remember them to be. Or when you see a spirit in your house, it'll look like a taller or darker shadow. And that's simply because our realm is 2 or 3 feet above you. And what you're seeing is when we're coming through, we look taller to you. So, but it's linear, it's right next to us. So, and that's why the contact, it overlaps. That's why it's so easy for us to communicate like that. Hopefully that simplifies that question. Go ahead, Red.
Amanda wants to know, can we stay there or do we have to reincarnate?
That's the nice part about this is you can stay there. You don't have to come back. You can stay there and study as much as you want. So you can stay there and be with your family and not come back. But a lot of souls choose to come back because they see things in their Akashic records. This hall is a problem, by the way. I just want you all to know, because you get over there and you're like, I missed this, or I missed that, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. So then we take on the challenge. And because there's no time on the other side, we decide that we're going to come back to Earth. So, and as we are either coming back with the same parents or jumping into a different family group or whatever the situation may be, we know it's a very short period of time, even though when we're living here, it feels like an eternity. But really, when you think about it, life is very, very short. So, and it's not guaranteed. So you don't know how long the contract is going to be, but you don't have to come back. You often choose to come back in order to have self-growth. Go ahead, baby.
Diane wants to know, do we look like us, or are we a form of energy? Do we have relationships, or are we only by ourselves while surrounded by others?
So, great question is, do you have relationships? Do we look like ourselves, or are we a form of energy? So you can look like any of your previous lives, and people have done that. And mostly when souls project themselves to me, they come through and the soul is the way that you remember it. And thirdly, can a soul be intimate on the other side? Absolutely. Souls are intimate on the other side emotionally, mentally, and physically because energy can be exchanged back and forth. But it's not for the same purposes that we have here. It's not for the sense of self of the flesh. It's for other reasons in order to exchange energy and things going on like that. Go ahead, babe.
Melissa wants to know, do they complete their contract there if they didn't finish it here?
Do they complete their contract? No. So you can study it over there, but you can't complete it over there. You have to come back. So if a soul reincarnates before I pass, would I still be able to connect with the soul now when it's back on Earth? When you lose a soul and the soul is an unexpected death, or if a soul is waiting for you, they would never reincarnate. They would wait for you, Rick, until you crossed over there. Otherwise, when you crossed over there, they wouldn't be there. You would then be looking back on them, and then it would be this constant circle. So that's why they tend to wait for us. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Wendy has an interesting question. How do they communicate with each other? Is there a language?
Oh, there's not a language. It's not so... Yes, there's a language, Isaac says. So it's every language. And secondly, we communicate through, it's telepathic communication. So, because words take so long, so we communicate through thought. And we don't have phones because all we have to do is think of the person. But it's not an invasion of privacy because you can't unless the other soul allows you to do that. It says this where it gets a little complicated. But so... You are able to communicate with each other, but it's just through thought. That's the easiest way to do it. Just like they communicate with me through thought. So when you're having a reading, and like when I come in here on my Friday nights, normally the souls show up before they get here, before you all get here, and I'm like, don't come to me yet because I have to see who's going to sit where. And what they're doing is they're just talking to me in my head, and it's just I'll be sitting down and I literally can hear chatter going on behind me. I'll just be sitting by myself. And like I said to you before, this office is just me in here. And I'm hearing people just chattering away. And sometimes I have to whip my head around like a parent, like, hey! Like knocking the head because I'm trying to talk to these souls over here. But it'll be a bunch of people just chattering away. And it's because they're watching me work. That's why that's happening. It's because the other side's watching what's going on also. Because these are things that are curious to them. So it's because they go through, again, some souls are new, some souls are old, some souls come here because they want to go through each of the zodiac signs. So starting with Aries, finishing. So they go through all of these different emotions. Every soul has a different journey. Go ahead, Jasper.
Jenny wants to know, can you fall in love on the other side?
Can you fall in love on the other side? Ooh-wee! Yeah, you can. So sometimes we come into Earth knowing that we're not going to find love because our love remains on the other side, and that's what you go back to. So a lot of the things that we get here are human responses. You have to find a partner, you have to reproduce, you have to do. A lot of souls come in knowing that they're not going to have children. There's a lot of souls that come in knowing that they're going to have multiple children, and that may be easy, may not be easy. So, but sometimes you come in knowing that you're not going to find love, you're going to just find a partner, but it's not the love of your life, it's not your soulmate, and that soul is on the other side. It gets complicated also. Go ahead, babe.
Don wants to know, is there gender on the other side?
So is there gender on the other side? So the soul chooses. No, it's energetic. I mean, if I'm going to answer this, I mean, I'm always honest with you guys. So no, the soul is neither male nor female, and that's That's the hard part for people to understand, because they want to believe, well, I shouldn't say they want to believe, but we're taught to believe that I am a male soul, but my soul is neither male nor female, and that's the difference about religion and spirituality. So is that the soul takes on the form, whatever it is going to come here, but it doesn't need to be male nor female. Go ahead, babe.
Roberta wants to know, do we remember holidays on the other side, like Halloween?
Yes, you remember holidays, so you do, because you're able to be in contact with your family that's going on here. So if your family's celebrating something, if your family's celebrating a holiday, you're aware of what's going on. So if you're off hiking, if you're off playing golf, if you're off fishing on the other side, and there's a birthday, you're going to visit, because you're conscious of what's going on here on Earth with your family that's left behind. So they remember everything. They remember their kids. They remember all of that. Go ahead, babe.
I'm sorry. I think your name's Sonia. What about touch and taste? Are there experiences of textures of soil, grass, strings of a guitar? Do you still have your senses on the other side?
So all senses are there. The only things that's removed are the fear, the anguish, and things like that. But all senses are still with you on the other side. So because it's energy, so you can feel things, you can taste things, you can hear things, but you can't be harmed, and so but you wouldn't put yourself in a harmful situation anyway. But because there's no need to. But you're still able to do all those things that you had in the earthly body. So you're doing that. Somebody asked before, how were souls initially created? So, and to my knowledge, souls are created by God. That's all I know. And I don't know what that being is, but in a very general term, it is a consciousness on the other side. That consciousness is what universally creates us. It's what allows me to do my job. It's what allows us to exist. It's what allows Isaac to come through. It's what allows all of these things to happen. But in never any way, shape, or form have I met this judgmental universal creature. So, or being, or whatever you want to call it. So maybe that answers that question. Go ahead, babe.
Shannon wants to know, do I have the same personality on the other side?
You retain your personality also. So, or you retain your personality from previous lives as well. But that's a great question. So if you come through and you were, if you were a swearer, you're going to swear in your reading. If you were proper, you're going to be proper. So all of your personality is retained. And sometimes that will change again, because once you go through the soul review, you'll say, well, there's no need to do that. I was a product of my time. But in the beginning, that's the way it works. Go ahead, babe.
Are souls only human souls, or are there other kind of souls in the universe?
So here comes a tricky question, Phil. Is there other souls in the universe? We are the other souls in the universe. We just travel to different places and times. So, and that's the kind of hard part to understand for us, because we want to really think that Earth is the only place that we come to. Earth's just a stepping stone. It's one of the most painful planets that there is. So, because everything is physical. But it's just a stepping stone. But we do travel to other places and times, and to experience other lifetimes. Go ahead, babe.
Is there punishment for those who don't complete their contract?
Is there punishment for people who don't complete their contract? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is zero punishment. Again, never seen punishment. If you do not complete your contract, you simply will go over there. You will look at that. You will say to yourself, okay, what happened here? What could I not overcome? What was happening to me? And you'll simply come back, or you'll choose to wait to come back, or you may not come back. But there is no punishment going on whatsoever. None. So it's somebody asked me, can you become an archangel? And the answer to that question to Isaac's is answering is no. So angels are created, he was once human, so that's what allows Isaac to be a guide. But angels are created by this consciousness. So, but you can't become an archangel. Hope that's not disappointing. Go ahead, Jasper.
Kelsey wants to know, if the other side is so perfect, why did God create Earth?
To have experience. We leave the other side in order to experience things. We leave perfection knowing that there's no time, because it's going to be a very, very brief time that we're here on Earth. So not everyone's life is horrific. So not everyone's life is perfect, but everyone on the entire planet comes with something. No one, not a single person on this planet, comes here with a clean slate. We all come in with an issue. So that's what I want you to understand, and that's what I'm going to wrap this up with, is understand that if you leave early, if you leave late, if you finish your contract, if you don't finish your contract, when you cross to the other side and after that you've gone through the process, what you're primarily doing is studying, gaining knowledge, helping family members, trying to become a guide, doing whatever else is going on. So, and all of that is to evolve us and to get us to be better people. And we all come in here to leave Earth in a little better way. So I hope that helps you all. I hope that gives you some clarification. I know I may have screwed things up when it comes to the time issue and that we visit other planets, but that's just the way it is. So I will see you guys again. I'll let you know when I'm back on. Thank you all for tuning in. I love you. And for anybody who wants to tune into our Thursday nights, all you have to do is hit the like page on the Phil Quinn Medium Life Guide, and that's where it will be. So, and I will see you again for another great topic. Thank you all. Check in. Bye.